let's talk about my favorite stems to use in vases. Hi, my name's Gillilee. I'm an interior designer, and I thought it'd be great to share a tutorial video about where I get my favorite stems. And you'll be surprised to know they're from your own backyard. I love using stems from nature, outdoors. I literally went out this morning and cut these out of our tree in our driveway. They're Bradford pears. They have beautiful blooms in the spring. I use them when they're blooming, but I also use these same stems when the blooms are off, before they turn green. I also cut stems down in the fall, but we're going to talk all about it. I have some vases, different option vases that I use them in, because you kind of want taller vases when you use outdoor stems. What's great is you can get the height, the natural element of it, and the best part is they're free. So I'm going to start with these first. These, like I mentioned before, are from my Bradford pears in my driveway. Bradford pears are kind of a hit or miss for me. I love the tree, but let's face it, they do split with strong winds. So we've probably lost 3 Bradford pears already in our front yard and had to have them removed. So love Bradford pears, not too crazy about how strong they are. So if you plant one, just know they're not the sturdiest tree ever, and it's very important to keep them trimmed. Okay, so as you can see here, I'm going to step up a little closer and show you guys the detail. So there's a lot of trees that have blossoms on this, as this one does. Like I said, one of my favorite. But there's many more trees that have the blossoms like this as well. I love to find the branches, when you cut them out of your tree, find the ones either straight for smaller vases, or the ones that kind of have more of a dynamic, not so perfect shape. I love how this one curves out to the side, because with a larger vase, you can add 2 and really create an elaborate feel, like a very elaborate feel. So found this large vase with a wide opening. I'm going to show it to you kind of in different options. So you need a wide opening if the stem spreads out like that, which I love the feel and the aesthetic when it spreads out. So I didn't trim this one a whole lot. I just cut it straight from the tree. But if you have piece on the bottom, you would want to break that off, because that's going to hit the base. So you want to make sure the stem at the base is pretty clean so it fits in nicely. I placed this one in here. It literally fits perfect with the angle. You can use white rocks, glass rocks, in the bottom of the vase to support it, but I'm going to be taking things in and out, so I didn't really want to add those right now. Because usually, if you don't want to use the rocks, usually when you place the stems in it, like so, they will hold each other in place. I love how it isn't completely symmetrical. I love the asymmetrical look where it kind of flows out to one side. It's a stunning piece. We have tall ceilings, so it's stunning to place on a low-rise coffee table with our 13-foot ceilings, but you don't have to have tall ceilings. You can have an 8-foot ceiling. This is still stunning. You could place it on a sofa table, a console table, a coffee table like I have, as long as you're not blocking a TV or something, and then place artwork in front of it. If you have a mirror, it's beautiful to have a console table with a vase like this that is very tall with the stems, and maybe a classic round mirror. A classic round mirror looks great with this because you have the curve of the mirror, but this still softens the edge, but you can also do square mirrors. So this is just one example. Another one of my favorite things to use, and I use this one more in the fall usually, and winter. These are just straight sticks. This came from a maple tree I have in my front yard. Again, I want to make sure that I use the ones that are not symmetrical. So this one curves to the side, this one curves to the side. You don't want a straight stem straight up and down. You want to make sure it has an elaborate feel that flares out. So these, I cut 2 down, simple. I cut these in the fall or in the spring before it blooms. Now for a smaller, thinner stem like this, I like to use a small open vase. The small opening, this is very narrow compared to how wide these are. So you want to make sure it's a very narrow opening vase. So you place these in one at a time. I only use 2, as I mentioned before. And then you just kind of adjust it for the look you want. So this usually in my dining room. I probably need to move this so you guys get the whole feel. Let me move this over a minute really quick so I can show you guys. Now this, I have the taller ceilings, so like I mentioned before, I can really have it flare out far. If you don't have the space, you just want to trim off some of the branches and adjust it. I'm trying to interlock them just a tiny bit. Hold on. Play around with it a little bit. I love this look. I get so many compliments on this look, and so many people are like, hold on, I gotta make sure I get it perfect. So many people are like, where'd you get your stems from? And I'm like, from my backyard. But it's really an elaborate feel. Love this look. I usually use this on my buffet in my dining room. I also have one that's a smaller opening with the natural, a little bit more modern. I use this also on my console table downstairs on the side of my TV. This would look beautiful in a dresser in a bedroom. So many options. But remember, if you do the stems that are very narrow, you want a narrow opening. Now, would not want a skinny, tall base for this, then it would be too elongated. You want to make sure the base has substance. You want to make sure the base is round, it's wide, because this flares out pretty wide. So you want to kind of mimic that width of your base to balance it a little bit better. Then, that's option number 2. Now, moving on, that's a little bit more of the natural elements. Now, if you want to mix up natural with, if you want to mix up the natural with some faux, this works too. So here I have, sorry, I have it sitting down. We're going to start, let me separate it. I should have had it separated first. Hang on a second, Levi, 1 second. Okay, so for this one, we're going to mix up some natural elements with some faux. These are some of my favorite faux stems. These are faux, so they'll last year round without worrying about the blooms. So here I have a very large vase. Because I'm going to be mixing different elements, I'm going to mix the natural with the faux. 2 stems of these cherry blossoms, I'm going to place them in, just like that. This is why, if you saw my other video about classic design, this is why I absolutely love clear vases for that reason. So I have 2 artificial stems, and then I have 1 skinny one straight down the center to give it height. And then the second one has a little asymmetrical look. We're going to tuck that in the back here, like so. And it gives you the natural element. You're going to play around with it a little bit to get it exactly where you want it. I want a center point. And I like this because even though the artificial stems are artificial, the natural ones make it more realistic. Love mixing the artificial with the natural. So there's option 3 for you. Beautiful, it makes a statement. I also love a clear vase because you can see the stems inside. Now, these are beautiful. I'm going to show 2 more really quick. These artificial stems, beautiful pink. If you want to add color to your room, a lot of you guys are asking for color. The cherry blossom, you can do a pink cherry blossom with just a touch of green. I think less is more. This is a set of 2 stems. Sometimes people go overboard and they'll do like a set of 3 or 4, and then it's so concentrated that it looks artificial. So the lighter the area, the better. Don't overdo your stems. As you can tell from this one, from my yard, a natural element, like I mentioned before, is very sparse. It's very spacious. They don't have it congested and confined together. So you can use these in a tall vase like this, or if you don't have super tall ceilings, you can also use a shorter vase and just bend up the bottom. Bend it up, place it in, and you have a stunning, stunning arrangement. I also, and play around with it a little bit, I also love, let me move this, 1 second, great for lower ceilings, so they don't have to be tall. One last thing I'll share with you guys, really quick before I go. So if you want to do a more minimal look, love very fine stems. I don't like bright green leaves. I love to do just simple stems like this. You can do 2 to make it airy, or you can do a lot. So I hope this helps you guys. If you have any questions, please comment below, and I can